Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Gunner's Voice podcast, the number one place to get your latest Arsenal conversation. And obviously we are back today with another video. As always, guys, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, get in touch in the comment section. As always, guys, we keep to hear your comments and your thoughts. And obviously, like I said, don't forget to leave a like. Let's get the likes up nice and early in this video, guys. I have some of my favorite guys on the podcast that I've had so far. Two guys I'm honored to have. I've got Rams on the top right-hand corner next to me, becoming quite a regular on the show. And then we have George, obviously at the bottom there, guys. I think who's really brought a great personality to the show so far. So obviously I'm very, very keen to get involved with tonight. Guys, you guys hear me?
Yeah. Just repeat that question, Shanna.
You're breaking up.
Sorry, guys. I just asked you guys how you guys doing. Are you guys doing well?
Yeah.
Yeah, all good, Shanna.
All good,
Your
my
side?
friend.
Nah, good, guys. Sorry about that. I don't know, the connection's a bit. I don't know, lately, guys, I've been trying to move different places in the house, the extenders and everything. I don't know what's going on with the internet, and it only seems to be happening in the evenings now. So I'm hoping that it can just stick strong. But anyway, let's hope that it can be okay. Are you guys hearing me okay?
You're better now, yeah. So I had to change myself.
Okay, cool.
Wi-Fi string.
Okay, cool, no problem. Okay, guys, and obviously we are here to discuss Arsenal's, start to the season. We've played 7 games in the league, 1 in the Carabao Cup and 2 in the Champions League. Currently unbeaten this season, having played some really tough opposition to start the season off with. I'm going to go straight to Rams. Rams, but what have you made of Arsenal start to the season so far? And considering the opponents we've played, considering some of the injuries we've had, just some of the incidents so far we've had in certain games. Like, what is your thoughts so far on Arsenal's, let's say, opening quarter of the season?
Yeah, man. I think we had a very tough start. I think if you look at the fixtures, you can tell that it's probably the hardest patch that we probably have to go through till the end of the season, and we'll probably have to play City and Anfield away, and that will kind of cap the most difficult fixtures that we'd have for the season. And I think we've done well given the circumstances. And if we had better quality refs, we'll probably be 7-7. But yeah, it is what it is. I think a lot of fans are complaining about the style of play and the way we're not exactly flowing as we'd expect to be. But I think if you look at the points tally, it'll tell you a different story. I think we're getting the job done. We are probably in a position that most wouldn't have thought would be given the start of, or given the fixture list. So I'm very happy with where we are. I think being about 2 points behind City, or 1. I'm not sure exactly what it is now. We are in a good space. I'm not too worried about Liverpool as yet. I think they still need to kind of play a lot more tougher fixtures for us to get a sense on whether Arne Slot is really the guy that we think he is.
No, 100%. And I have to agree with you. I think, if you had asked me, what would the points tally, like my maximum points tally, be away from the top 2 or top place position? 1 point? Like, what would have taken your hand at the start of the season? Because I think that's still an excellent start. You know what I'm saying? If you 1 point off the top, you haven't lost. In context, it's still early in the season. Like, Arsenal have had the problem of peaking too early. In a couple of seasons, we've seen them peak too early and then fade away at the end of the season. Or, like last season, we saw them start a bit sluggishly and then, really kick on in the second half of the season. So I'm keen to see how Arteta balances this out this season, because, it's important that, like, I think if Arsenal can maintain this pace up until the crunch time, because that's when your results really matter. But I think if you stay in third position, in my opinion, second, third, bouncing in between first now and then, just keeping the points tally 1 or 2 points behind, I think that's a perfect position. Obviously, with Arsenal, I think having bigger ambitions in the Champions League. George, I just want to bring it to you. Hearing what Rams has said and what he's made of the start of the season. Your summary, bro. I know you were a bit critical of our style of play. You weren't really sure if where we'd get our goals and stuff from. Or our creativity, should I rather say. Has the last couple games and obviously the whole first 7 games given you a bit more confidence that we can score goals, or do you still think you're waiting to see Arsenal click into another gear?
All right, Shannon. Firstly, I don't. It's not about being critical, I'm just worried that it's just seeing problems ahead with that midfield. I think the midfield hasn't gelled yet. I've said this before on the show. I'm very happy. We're 1 point off, and people seem to forget that Liverpool, especially who are top, haven't had a difficult game. They've got a run at the end of this month, beginning of next month, with I think us, Chelsea, and Newcastle, which I think will, and Villa, which will be a real test for them. So we'll get to see what Liverpool are really made of. And look, other teams, I mean, Man City haven't been exactly, flying off the blocks either. So it's too early really to say. But I'm very happy, certainly with Man City, PSG. I think when the questions were really asked of us, Tottenham as well, away, I think it's been real, it's been amazing. It's been great. But the smaller teams at home, I think have exposed 1 or 2 issues for me in that creativity. And I don't think it's just Martin. I think there's an issue in midfield. Rice might not be performing. I think Rice might not be performing up to scale, but I thought he was great in the last game. I thought he was really good, and it finally showed us what he's made of. Not against Southampton, but against PSG. I thought he was really then showed up. So I think we've got some issues that then people will start nagging come November, December, if we still play the same way, and they'll be exposed. But I'm very happy overall. So we'll see where it goes. Sorry.
Just one thing, George. I mean, I think it's really just the start of. Sorry. I just have a question for George. The season has pretty much just started, right? And I think it's unfair to expect the team to kick off in high gear just at the start of the season. And you also have to consider the fact that we've got new guys in midfield, and we've also lost Odegaard. So I think you I guess you don't want to say you're critical, but I think you're slightly being critical. If you look at the team in November, I think that will give you a better sense of where we are and closer towards the end of the year. We'll get a better sense of whether what you're saying is actually factual, or is it just us just trying to get into the season. And I think we've actually managed it quite well, because we've won pretty much all the games that we were meant to win.
I think I agree with Rams. I completely
look, George,
agree.
I don't know if you want to respond to it.
Is it? Yeah, all right, Shannon. Dude, we've just finished the show. You still speaking? No, anyway, sorry, Rams. No, look. I'm with you, man. I'm really am with you. And I totally agree. It's too early, and it's been. I mean, we've had a really difficult set of fixtures. So, but it's just, I see problems ahead. I really do, and I think it's basically I see our midfield getting swamped by teams like Southampton, in certain periods of the game, or Brighton, or but also I see great performances. I agree with you. It's too early to say, but even with Martin at the beginning of the season, the creativity is still lacking. The connection between midfield and attack. And I think if there is a problem that we're still trying to find ourselves. Martin's coming in, Marino's coming in, and hopefully when it's all there, we'll be fine. And look. I'm not being critical. I just think there's honestly there might be an issue later on in the season if that is not sorted, and we'll be complaining. But up to now, I'm happy. I just and let's see how it goes, especially now with the easier run. I think that will be really critical for us to see how we deal with these easier teams, especially at home. Because against Southampton, there's some worrying signs that will be exposed later on in the season. That's what I'm saying. I'm the biggest Arteta fan, and I have been from day one, since 2019, whatever. Even when we're finishing 8th, I see what he's doing. I'm not in any way complaining. I want to make that clear. I just worry a bit about that midfield and how it's going to gel later in the season. That's it.
I hear you, George. I hear you.
Sorry.
Guys, if I may just say, I don't think Arteta has always gotten his main creativity directly from midfield. I don't think since Arteta's been here we've had maybe the season with Partey and Xhaka was probably the most fluid we've looked in midfield. You know, last season we didn't look as good in midfield as could have been. It took us a while. I think you'd have to say, second half of the season we really kicked into gear. And I kind of share George's sentiments because you're just thinking, where the creativity is going to come from. I think that's George's biggest worry. I don't think it's necessarily the quality. I think it's like almost like we have a lot of defensive midfielders.
I actually
I
think,
don't
sorry
know.
to jump in. No, I've heard you, Shannon. I just actually
Where did I
think.
lose you guys? Sorry, guys.
No, we heard it all. No, it was fine, Shannon. We'll tell you in the private chat if you're breaking up again. But listen, just quickly, I think it's the opposite. I think it's the defensive midfield that's the problem because it's not allowing our more attacking-minded midfielders to move forward. And it comes down to Partey. When Partey plays really well, like he did against PSG, Rice was able to move forward and we were connecting perfectly. As soon as he came off, this is my opinion. Other people don't have the same opinion. But I personally believe holding that midfield and holding the territory has been the issue. And as soon as Partey doesn't play well or we get swamped in that middle of the park and our attacking midfielders have to push back into their defensive duties. And I think I'm coming to believe that's the issue. That Partey role, when he plays well, when he holds that midfield, tactically, breaks up a position play and territorially holds that midfield, we play really well. Like the first half against PSG, looked amazing. As soon as that defensive midfield role actually isn't done properly, that's when our attacking midfielders have to move back and do more on defensive duties. Even our wingers and striker, they fall back and we're not connecting in that middle of the park. So I'm coming to believe that defensive midfield position is not being thoroughly done. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see going forward. I think that there needs to be a proper anchor. I think people call it a pivot. Sorry, I'm an old-fashioned person, so it's just the old-fashioned DM for me. But I think they call it like a pivot and a double pivot. Anyway, so I think that if that role is not done properly and you don't hold the middle of the pitch, then we get swapped. And it's like wave of attack. Like we saw in the second half of PSG. We saw for periods for Southampton, Leicester even. I think when we're not controlling the midfield. So I actually think the DM position, the old-fashioned Partey, middle of the park, DM position might be the issue. We'll see. When Martin comes back, I mean, that's the real test. As soon as he comes back after the international break, we'll see whether I'm wrong or not. But also when Martin comes back, we go too much down the right of the field. So it was actually, I'm really hoping that I want to see a Partey-Marino partnership where Marino's controlling that left, Partey's in the middle doing a proper job, and then, the ball is spread out on both wings. And maybe we'll see a different side to us, more creativity, more unpredictability. It's too predictable going down the right.
No,
with,
but
Sorry, Shannon?
Sorry, George. I agree with you. I think if I'm being completely honest, right? In terms of quality, Rice is a good ball winner. He's got a big engine on him. But I think on the technical level, Jorginho, Partey, and Marino are better midfielders, in my opinion. So I kind of like the idea of Partey, if he can stay fit, being the 6, Marino and Odegaard as the 8s. That's just my opinion because I think there's going to be there's not going to be many games where I think we aren't going to have control of the ball. And I think Marino, Odegaard, and Partey give you enough legs there, to do an attacking job. He still control, still be physical. And I think Rice is the type of player you play away at Anfield maybe, or you play in the Champions League games, against your lower blocks. I think Rice, he's not. What he can do is break the lines with his running from deep. That's the other thing that having him in the 6 allows you. If Rice plays at the 6, he can drive directly through the middle of midfield, which is one thing I don't think any other midfielder on our team can do. So I think it's a nice problem to have, guys. The fact that we're like, okay, should we play Partey, Marino, or Rice? And I don't think. I think the combinations of what we're gonna, and there's a lot of games to go this season, so I think combinations we'll see start to form between certain players because you're not going to play the same midfield every game if we're going to be completely honest. So I'm okay with Arteta switching players, like you're saying, George. You want to see maybe a Rice and Marino midfield, or because you've already seen Rice and Marino in midfield, Odegaard start to come back. So I think there's a lot of unknowns in the midfield, but I think the quality of players that we have, I think we'll find a solution. I don't think quality players will eventually play well together. That's just how it is. If you're a good player, good players can play with good players, I believe. So I just think been a solid start so far to the season in my opinion. I've been quite surprised not in a sense that we like, that we won certain games, but also the way this team has leveled up again for me. The way we just look a lot more mature. We don't like the City game. We weren't rattled. I don't know. Just like we don't get rattled as a team. Like even when we conceded against Southampton on Saturday, I was sitting with my brother and I said we just sat and we were chilled. And I was like, you know what, we're gonna score. Like I just know the quality of this team. So I think if you ask me, start of the season so far, I think I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I don't know about you guys, but I think a 7 out of 10 is a solid start considering what we faced. Um, I should obviously move on to one of the first talking points of the night after this is who have you been your standout players this season? You've had guys like David Raya, Gabriel, Havertz, Saka. Has there been maybe someone that silently impressed you? Rams, let me go to you, bro. So far, like, we've obviously talking about Arsenal's start as a team, but what are you making of some of the individual players? Who are the guys that are standing out for you?
Look, Shannon, I just want to just echo one last point before we move on to onto this next topic. I think
Sure.
about a bunch of the guys in the chat have talked about how the refs might have kind of hampered our points tally, and I think it kind of echoes the same sentiments that I said, which if we are 7-7, I think we're having a very different conversation today. If we actually
Mm,
sitting up there in the top and we haven't dropped any points, we're probably having a very different conversation. And I think again we can't go back there, and nothing can be done to kind of erase what happened. But I do feel like it's a huge injustice. And if things were different, we might be seeing a different league table right now. And then onto your question, I think that the player that's really stood out for me is Havertz. I think everybody else kind of is who you'd expect to be. I think Havertz is really coming into his own. He's moving with an air of confidence. He's silky with his touches. He's not losing the ball as often as he used to. He's holding up the ball expertly. He's involved in pretty much every kind of piece of offensive play and defensive. So let's not forget that this guy is a machine, playing going backwards as well. So he for me is the absolute standout player for me. I think he's really turned me. I wasn't too excited about his signing, but I trust the manager, and I said to myself, well, let's see what Arteta can do. He's proved me wrong so many times. We can talk about the Ramsdale deal. We can talk about so many other instances where he was actually right, including getting rid of
mm,
guys like Aubameyang and Lacazette and Ozil. So for
nice.
me, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And look, the rewards are there to see for everybody that Havertz is really the guy that we want him to be. So super stoked with him. I think I don't want to waste time talking about Saka because we know everything about him.
Look, if you, I'm just obviously want to speak about more about Havertz, George, and I'll bring you in now. Is that I'm just what I'm liking about Havertz is the he's showing the level of player he is. He's showing that he's a guy that's won the Champions League. He's showing that he's the vice captain of Germany. He's showing that he's the player that has matched Erling Haaland this calendar year for goals. They both have 19 goals and assists, I think, in total. He's on par with Havertz, and I mean with Haaland, and his goals per minute ratio is even better. So for 65 million, and I think guys, let's be honest, Havertz is our centre forward. Like he's a centre forward. He can facilitate in midfield, but he's a centre forward. And I think 65 million for a player that's looking at almost 20 goals this calendar year, 20 goals and assists. I think that's phenomenal. And George, just obviously on your opinion on Havertz, have you been surprised, or do you think that you shouldn't be surprised because this is what we saw him do for the entire of 2024? He's involved in lots of goals. He was creating chances, and now we just may be seeing a continuation of last season's form.
Yeah, no, with Havertz, I was going to mention him and say him, but Rams got in there first. I totally agree. Havertz has been amazing in that he's adapted so well to the role. I mean, I remember him saying in an article I read recently that he said that he's never been that physical in his role as a football player, like in his tackling and getting involved. And I think his ability to adapt just suits Arteta to the bone. He took a player that hadn't played that up front for a while, sort of thing, and then just molded him. And he's done it so well. He can roam the front so well. He comes back. He holds up the ball. His ability to hold up the ball and then play in other people in the forward line. It's been amazing. I mean, it's interesting. Just I want to go quickly back. Just want to quickly say something. I think Rice has been under par, and I think Subisiso in the chat said you can't bench £100 million player. But I think it's even watching Crystal Palace, Eze has been below par. I think it's just hangover from the internationals, from the summer, from the northern hemisphere summer. And I think Rice has just been a bit below par. And I'd like to see him benched just for a few weeks if possible. But I think he's one of those players like Saka. Sorry,
George. I was saying I was agreeing with you. Just saying, let him rest. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, I agree. And I think he needs a bit of a rest, just a few games out, just to get his, and then bring him back when he's hungry again. But yeah, just Havertz been amazing. I mean, we're going to talk about Saka later anyway, so I'll leave that there. But for me, Trossard as well has been great. He's really, he's building up into a role as well. I think it's been pretty good. Every role, because he's been asked, because of the red cards, of course, he's been asked to play different roles, and he's actually stepped up. I've always doubted his ability to play around the centre of the pitch, coming forward. He's very good on the box, around the box. But he's actually as a left midfielder, or I think number 8 he played, didn't he? Number 10 or number 8? I'm really bad with numbers. I'm so old-fashioned. Yeah, number 10, number 8, bloody. Anyway, so he's been really good. So anything he's been asked to do to fill in these roles, he's actually played quite well. And don't forget, he's not his natural position. So I've got to mention Trossard. But the one thing we haven't talked about the last, that much is the defensive performance. The defensive performance has been amazing. For everyone who's been complaining under Wenger for decades, man, how amazing has the last 7 games been against Man City when we were down? The ability to come back. Calafiori, all of them. I'd mention all of them. Timber. Obviously, Timber's sat back. I think he's been given an instruction now not to invert so much, and he's fulfilled that role to the T. I think he's been an amazing defensive influence. Done the role he's been asked to do. Gabriel Saliba, you can talk the best, one of the best, if not the best, centre partnerships in the world right now, and even Calafiori. Calafiori's been, for not knowing the English Premiership. He's come in, he's been caught out, but I think that's also because he's inverting so much. So going forward, he's been great. And even defensively, he's 1 or 2 out of positions against Leicester. So I think, but I also think that's because he's inverting. He's been asked to invert, and he's fulfilled that role very well. So for me, it has to be any one of the defensive line. You can pick and choose, because that is what the focus has been this beginning of the season, and that's been amazing. So defensive line, Raya. Sorry, I didn't even mention Raya. Sorry.
No, just on that defensive line, George, I think you're 100% spot on. And guys like Calafiori, I think he's still young. He's 22, and he still needs to kind of get into the flow of things and kind of understand the way Arteta wants to play. I don't think we should be zeroing in on his mistakes as much as we do, and kind of support the boy to get into the flow of things. But you can actually see that there's a real player in there. So I'm very excited to see what comes from Calafiori in the future.
Absolutely.
Look, so someone that I want to touch on is Trossard, and George, you actually brought him to my attention, and I was like, this guy's not getting enough respect. Like Trossard, Trossard steps up, guys. I know he's not a 12 man. It's just, I don't think you can say Arsenal have definite starting 11. There are 5 or 6 players that Arteta is going to start, right? But the fact that there can be rotation, that you can rotate Timber and White. White has played a lot of football over the past 2-3 seasons. Tomiyasu, right? White's carried the right-hand side practically on his own for like 2 seasons, So to have someone like Timber who's now fit, able to cover, Calafiori can cover the other wing, Tomiyasu back, this is what we want, guys. I think for years at Arsenal, we always, we don't maybe have strength in depth, or we think we have to, we think that a player, if he starts, he can never be benched. No. This is Arsenal Football Club. You must earn your spot. If you're not performing, my guy, there's another quality player, and that breeds competition. And I think we're not giving our squad enough credit, guys. And this is not me speaking prematurely. I just think if you look through the squad, age-wise, profile-wise, how many guys in the back line can play different positions? Calafiori can play as a right back. You can have Timber can play as a left back. White can play as a centre back. Our team is so well built. You got Saka who can play, even for example, left, right. Saka can play in the midfield. You got Trossard. You got Havertz. You got all these moving parts that Arteta can use. And I think That's what's impressed me the most this season. I don't actually have a standout player to say someone that I think has carried the team. I think I've seen the team have moments from different players. We've had Gabriel's moments. You had Raya in the first couple games having his moments. Saka, Calafiori having his moment against City. We just seem to have a much better squad. And even though we'll discuss some of the players that haven't been performing, it's not a worry to me because there's a time where other players were performing and they were. And, someone like Jesus, who everyone's getting on his back. And I'm like, guys, relax. He doesn't have to come on and score a hat trick or even score. Like, we have enough other players where Jesus is not the guy we depend on like we used to. So I want to give a lot of credit to the entire squad. For me personally, is that I'm so happy to see Arsenal at a level now where the 1 point that we're behind City and Liverpool is almost unjustified, because if you look at some of the decisions that have been made against us, we should be 7 for 7, in my opinion. Arsenal should be 7 wins, 7 games, and let's not muck about, guys. We've had some really tough fixtures. And have we been outplayed in any of them? Have we looked the lesser team in any of those fixtures? Not at all. So you'd even argue we were the best team across all those games. Maybe Atalanta was the one where you weren't, but it was still defensively assured. Raya had his moment. So that's just my opinion. And, I think if we can continue this and different players can hit form throughout the season, I think that's how you win the league. Obviously, you would like a Haaland who can guarantee you the entire season. But Haaland hasn't scored since the Arsenal game. So even the best, it can happen to. So he's not scoring. Who's scoring for them? Yes, they've been scoring goals, don't get me wrong, but who's the reliable goal scorer? Where with us, Martinelli's back amongst the goals. Havertz, Saka, Trossard. We've got that entire four. We've got 4 players up front that are scoring goals at the moment. On the bench, you've got Sterling, you've got Jesus. Who else on the bench for us? You can say Odegaard to return. On Wanyeri, there are even more goals in the team. So I think, good start to the season. I think a lot of players are looking at a level like that. You can see that there's hunger, guys. That it's not. The guys are serious, man. Like that's just what I'm getting from the team this season. I'm just gonna go through some comments here quickly. Let me just see here. We've got Antanas the Spectre saying Calafiori has been cooking, not just the goal. Can't wait to see what he's gonna offer, or he's gonna do after he's properly adjusted to the league. And I think Rams, you alluded to that. Saying that he's still young. He's still learning the league, and you can see that there's a makings of a great player there. You can tell he's also a centre back. Ultimately, you can just see that this guy's a centre back, but he's still comfortable enough to play as a fullback. So I think he's more defensively assured, in my opinion, than Zinchenko. He's not bad going forward either. So I think we've kind of upgraded the Zinchenko role. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's those little improvements. Have you improved the team in those areas? And obviously, yes, Rams, go ahead.
It's another testament to Arteta's brilliance in the way he kind of buys these players. He's not looking for a player to fill a specific position. He's going for a diverse player who's able to kind of play across multiple areas of the pitch. And I think that's brilliant because that will help us when players get injured. And it also means that these players are genuinely decent enough to kind of move across different areas of the pitch. So, yeah, I think we need to give Arteta props for that, for the type of players that he's bought. He's bought absolute quality.
Can I just say? I mean, 100%. Just I saw some comment just about Rice. I just want to say, no one's criticizing Rice. Rice is one of our best, most essential players. I just think he needs a rest. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, sorry.
No, I think if from what we discussed, I think that it might have been misconstrued, because I think to me it also sounded like you guys want to drop Rice, but I generally don't think that's the case. I think he hasn't been giving us 4 or 3 out of 10 performances, but he hasn't been at his best, and what he's done is still enough to get us through games. So I don't think he deserves to be dropped at this point. But if he does, then if these performances continue and he drops, I think a level or 2, then your points might be justified. But at this point, he's still giving us decent performances.
If I just may say, Ramsey, I think from Georgia, we're not saying, and I think Arsenal fans need to get over this dropping player. No, we're rotating. Like when City changes, it's not dropping. He's rotating his squad. Like George is saying, Rice has played non-stop football for the past 3 seasons. Took West Ham to the Conference League. I had a full season with Arsenal. Went to the Euros. Like, why not rest him when you got a quality player like Marino. Like it's not gonna your squad is not gonna be weakened with quality. It's just you're gonna play slightly different. But I think if you're asking me if you're gonna swap Vieira for Rice, I'm gonna say no. No, I'm not gonna do that. To be honest with you, but Marino, who just won the Euros, played many games with Sociedad, an experienced player, technically assured. I shouldn't have an issue putting Rice. I don't take Party out. If I want to put Saka on the bench, I should be able to put Saka on the bench because I think that's where we are. I think Sterling is a player that, with confidence, same with Jesus. These are confidence players. You know, Arteta, and you can see how much he guys. Arteta is very big on the human emotion of his team. You know, he says we talk about togetherness, about players needing love, and I think we're too quick as Arsenal fans to say no, get rid of this one and this one's not good enough. It's like, guys, the season is long. You know, it's months. Things change. Players find form, others don't. So I think what I'm seeing you're saying that we can't drop Rice or saying that dropping him, you can't put him on the bench. I mean, you can, in my opinion. You have the tools to do it. It's no longer something I think is a hindrance, and it's not being dropped, in my opinion. Yes, we're not dropping him. It's like saying, dude, Ben White isn't dropped, guys. He's not in the team. You know, he's also recovering. You know, other players are playing long season. You know, I think Arsenal fans we get loved up to players. We really love our players. Guys ride for players, and I just think we need to be okay with Arteta being able to make those decisions so that we back the entire squad. Like if Arteta puts Saka on the bench, I should be like, you know what? I trust Arsenal because I trust my manager. I trust what he's doing today. You know, and I think if you say you trust Arteta, trust him to make the change with the players that he's bought. This is his squad, guys. I think Saka, Martinelli, maybe are the only players from previous regimes. Everyone else is his players, and I think Saliba. Everybody else is a Mikel Arteta player. So I think, you know, like I said, Sibusiso, obviously everyone's allowed their opinion. I just think from myself and George, I don't think it's a dropping thing. I think it's just resting and trying new things. What if Rice gets injured next in the internationals now? Then what? You can't put a play in cold turkey. So I think having Marino play, putting Rice out, I think it just makes sense. But let me just get to some more comments here. We got another one here from Spoo, guys. He says, guys, we've even upgraded our Deadwood. People see Jesus as Deadwood now. Who would have thought? And this is a player that's been here for 2 and a bit seasons, guys. Jesus was here for 2022, 2023, and then 2023, 2024. It's not like he's been here for 5 years. This is only two and a bit seasons in. So I think the squad is a squad that's always growing, but I don't think it's outgrown Jesus. I think he still comes clutch in certain moments. Got another comment here from Dane saying, yes, Pura, we are growing at Zinchenko, who were guaranteed starters 2 seasons ago. And it's yes. Ben White, who was seen as a guaranteed starter, is no longer looking like a guaranteed starter because we've got quality to push the players. And I think that's what ultimately I want. And then another comment here from Spura saying, thank you, Shannon. We're rotating. Another thing, Rice has only missed the starting 11 through suspension. It'll be a fresh sight seeing him on the bench with no suspension. And, guys, if we, for example, let's just say we're playing whoever, like another Leicester or Southampton, you can put Saka on the bench if you've got a big Champions League game during midweek. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should, in my opinion, be able to trust the squad like that. And I think we'll bear the fruits of trusting the team. Obviously, want to guys continue on the video and just speak about a couple of players that maybe you've been slightly underwhelmed with. Not necessarily to call them out for criticism, but just saying maybe they need to step it up. I think a guy that I'll bring up. I think it's painfully obvious to see Jesus. You can see. I think he's trying too hard. I think he thinks we expect him to perform 10 out of 10. When it's like, no, bro, you are performing at a 3 out of 10 level now. We need you to give us a 6. Then we'll get to the 9s and the 10s. George, just obviously speaking on Jesus, do you think some fans are too quick to ditch players, or do you think what we've actually outgrown Jesus to a substantial level where maybe guys like Wanyeri deserve more minutes?
Look, I think. Look, firstly, pre-season, I had so many hopes for him. I think he did that individual goal. Was it Leverkusen? I think when he with Leon, he ran from them halfway, then shots. Good 30 yards out or something. So I think I had a lot of hopes for him, but I think he's underwhelmed a bit. But I wouldn't drop him. I wouldn't drop him because he's shown in pre-season what he can do, and I think. Don't forget he does a lot as well coming back. The whole point about this striker role under Arteta is that it's not just about, it's a false 9. So it's all about coming back, defending. And I think he does the other roles quite well. He does still link up with the front line and the two wingers. He's just not scoring. He's not really, but he's been underwhelming. But in terms of dropping him for good, I mean, I get underwhelmed when I see him come on. I'm like, okay, whatever. Whereas in the past, before his injury last season, we were all relying on him. We were all up in arms when he got injured. We thought that would be it. So look, he's been underwhelming. But in terms of actually dropping him or seeing him, no, I definitely keep him there and bring him on. But yeah, for now, he has been underwhelming. Absolutely.
Let me bring it over to Rams. Rams, bro, do you think, again, there's times where Jesus gets questioned, it was questioned a lot last season with the injuries, this season as well, like George mentioned, I think he had a good preseason, gets another injury, unfortunately. And do you think it's also fans realizing, like, listen, guys, let's give this guy some time to get back in the groove? Or do you think that, yes, we've got Jesus can link up well, but ultimately, it's not enough? And like I said, do you think that the other players like Wanyeri that maybe deserve a more minutes over him? Or do you think, you know what? This guy is a big player, bro. He's won a lot in his career. He's achieved a lot of goals. Quality player. Do you think he deserves a bit more respect and a bit more time?
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, Jesus is an excellent player. We've seen this over the years. I think he looks like a guy to me who's short on confidence. And I don't think he's been given enough minutes to actually get to that level, although his performances have been poor. I think once the games start getting more hectic, when we start playing in the FA Cup and the League Cup and the likes, we'll start seeing more of him. And hopefully he can use that to kind of push himself to play a little bit better. But for me, it looks very much like a confidence thing. And I just hope for his sake that he kind of uses that time that he gets to actually show us what he's made of. He's an excellent player. Let's not forget what he's done just a year or two ago. So I think it's very soon. It's too soon for us to start throwing in the towel. And again, I don't think he's had enough minutes to kind of get himself up to speed.
No, I definitely agree. I think, what, like Jesus is, like I said, he's one of those players that also needs confidence. He needs to be playing. And I think it's also, he needs to have a defined role in the team. I think sometimes when Jesus is becoming on lately, I'm not sure what he's there to do. Like, I'm not sure if he's like, is he the guy that's going to be creating? Is he to score? Like, he just looks a lot like he looks over the place, like all over the place. It's like, dude, maybe just get yourself into position. Like, get yourself closer to the box and get a goal. And
Yeah.
I think even he's so hungry for the goal that he's not doing the simple things. Like was it against Leicester with Havertz's goal? We should have passed the ball to either Sterling or Havertz, and he took it on for a run. And it's like, you know what? You'd be getting a lot more praise if you make that pass, because that will still show that like the player's still in there. Maybe it's just you get into form, but it looks like he's even like the way he's playing is not natural. He's trying too hard, and Jesus is not a player that tries hard. You know what I'm saying? He just naturally plays his game, and I think fans also need to get behind him. I think we're quick to forget how much this kind of where we are now was built on the back of him and Zinchenko's window, in my opinion. Like, those guys really did come and take us up a level, and I think, yes, Havertz is the guy that's scoring the goals now, but at the same time, I think if you look at it in the Champions League, when we needed Havertz with all his experience, it was Jesus in the first leg against Bayern, who comes on, gets the assist, and Trossard obviously equalizes. I see Dane here leaving a comment saying, but who thinks he's underwhelmed, top 5? Jesus. Tommy, yes, you can't say. I don't think it's underwhelmed. He hasn't played. It's just, I think you can say who's frustrated you. I think Tommy, yes, 100%. Zinchenko as well. You've given Tommy, which you said top 5. Tommy and Zeno, you said because of injuries. 4, Rice and Martinelli. He missed so many big chances. I think Martinelli is probably dead set in the middle for everyone. I think Martinelli the effort was there. I think the goals are coming. I think that's what Jesus needs to do. George, just according to what Dane is saying, in his top 5 most underwhelming players, is there anyone yet that you just think is it's a bit of a harsh criticism, or do you think this is kind of a fair list?
Well, yeah, but based on what Dane said, then I think we should add KT and Ethan, Lewis Skelly, because they've been rubbish. I haven't seen them at all. What's going on? So, no, sorry, Dane. As well, everyone knows that Dane and me are good friends. But yeah, no, I think it's unfair for Tommy. I mean, actually, I wondered why Tommy not put in place a party at right back, or switching left. So I don't know whether he's unfit. Back from from injury. But I'd like to see Tommy. I think Tommy would certainly fulfil that role. So I was surprised not to see him when Partey was playing at right back against Southampton. I think Martinelli's an interesting one. I was going to mention him as an underwhelming guy, but for me, I think the last two games has really stepped up, especially against Southampton when he came on, added fire, added energy, maybe slowly morphing into the Trossard super sub. I don't know. Trossard's taking his place, but I think he came in for a lot of criticism for not getting the assist. But I think the last two games of this confidence with the goals and stuff. I think he scored 2-1 against Southampton, obviously. And what was it against? When was he scored? I think he scored another one as well. Leicester. Every game blends into the next for me. So, what I was going to say is, I think he's been quite good. So, I think I'll definitely give him the benefit of the doubt. I wouldn't include him in the underwhelming list for myself. But yeah, I mean, Partey would have been on that list until PSG. I think he's been underwhelming. Just sorry to jump on the point, but just going back to Man City and Rodri. As soon as they lost their defensive, their main DM, they've not fallen apart, but they've been under par. I think the same thing is happening to us. So I would kind of include Partey, but I think he came back like Martinelli in the second half of the 7 games, and he's shown his worth as well. So I want to include Martinelli. And I've been underwhelmed. There's been very few players, man, to be honest. I mean, Jesus maybe given his pre-season, but still, I'm sure that Havertz has also stepped up. That's the other thing. So, but we'll see. Ask me again in December, and I'll tell you who's underwhelming.
No, 100%. And then obviously, guys, I want to move on to a topic that I think has been taken over Arsenal channels, Arsenal group chats.
Refs.
Well, actually, not refs. I think refs. I think you know what you just know already, guys. I'm glad that we've shown the mental fortitude that we have had after the results. What I actually want to talk about is Bukayo Saka, and the whole is he world class? Isn't he world class? And I think Arsenal goggles aside, it's just if I was a completely neutral person, my number one question would be then: if this kid is not world class, why is he in everybody's debates? Every winger, every young forward that's doing well, Saka is they compare him to Saka. Saka's name gets thrown in there because they don't want to admit it that I know it must be tough for rivals to see a player come through the academy, literally carry a team on his shoulders. Like, guys, I don't think Saka's getting enough credit for the role and responsibility and the amount of pressure on his shoulders. You know what I'm saying? Like, for a player of the age of 23, to have the armband, and like this season, you could just see Saka's playing with a level of confidence, and I don't want to call it arrogance. I want to call it assurity. Like, everything he's doing looks assured. Like, his actions are intentional. Like, he's not. He's like, look at Nuno Mendes, guys, against PSG. First few minutes, Saka's like, I'm gonna go at you, and beats him, almost puts him to the floor. This is supposedly one of the best up and coming fullbacks, similar age bracket. And my question, guys, is it Arsenal fan hysteria that's calling Saka world class, or do we genuinely have a world class player on our hands? And I'll take it to Rams, bro. Rams, what are your thoughts on Saka? Do you think this is a player that we should be talking about? Maybe not just us, because I think Arsenal fans rate him highly, but more rivals. Do you think rival fans need to give Saka the same level of respect that someone, with no disrespect, that Cole Palmer's only been doing for one season? Saka's been consistently being the man. So just your thoughts, Rams.
Yeah, I think it's asking a lot to expect rival fans to give credit to Arsenal players. I think you've seen that over the years that we succumb to so much hate. If it's not just in the media, it's all the rival fans that will always have something to say about Arsenal. And I think anyone with half a brain will tell you that Saka is up there with the best. I don't think there's many right wingers in the world that are as good as him. So to suggest that he's not world class at this point, I think it's farcical. He's been producing for us since he was, I think, 19 or 18 to that effect, and he's been playing consistently through that period. And now he's pretty much growing into his own. He's become assured in his position, and the manager trusts him. He trusts himself, and this boy has been banging in GA throughout the past couple of seasons. So I don't know to expect that or to not call him world class at this point. I don't know why anyone would do that. Saka's really up there, and I think only Salah in the Premier League is probably slightly better than him, and he's 32. So I think we've got a real player on our hands, and he hasn't even peaked yet. So if we start looking at Saka at 27, now we're looking at a real monster. So I'm fully on the world class train, and I'm not backing down. I think he's up there, and he's probably one of the 2 or 3 world class players that we have in our squad.
No, 100%. And obviously, George, just echoing Rams's thoughts there. Saka only 23. And that's one of the things that I like that you mentioned, Rams, is that how many games he's played consistently. Saka is always available. He is a top professional for his age. I think the best ability is availability, first of all, because you cannot really build your squad around a player that's not there. Saka has taken the pressure, in my opinion, excellently. I think every season his numbers are improving. And I just think that, it's also the type of, when you hear winger, I don't know if everybody thinks you need to do 100 step overs to be effective. But looking at the two most effective wingers in the league, Salah and Saka, and they've got quite similar. They've got quite a similar way that they play. So George, just to ask you, bro, do you think that Saka is just silverware away from winning fans over, rival fans and being deemed world class, or do you think, regardless of the trophies that he doesn't have, the actual quality of the player is definitely world class?
I mean, where do you start? I mean, this goes much deeper. I think. Don't forget, Peter Saka plays for England as well. So it's not. We can talk about rival fans, but he's also done it for England. So I think. Look, I'm a biggest fan of Saka, but if the one thing that they can hold against him is that he hasn't won anything yet, of substance. I don't think he's Harry Kane yet. He's only 23, as you said. I think he needs to win something before they'll back off a bit. I also think that because he plays week in, week out, we don't know what the team is without him, and he's part of a system. I think he plays. I think I made this point before that Saka plays part of a system. So there are no real individual stars in an Arteta team, and I think that is also an issue because you don't have standout players that we rely on because the goals come from all over the pitch, in the whole. But I think because he's a system player, I think that people don't undervalue him. But one day, touch wood, hopefully not soon, but he'll get an injury and he'll be out, and that's when we'll see his real value when he's not there. Because he, as I said, he plays week in, week out. I'm just going back to the point about Rice and Eze, who are, obviously got an international hangover possibly. He hasn't got it. He's the one player that's come back from internationals, got to a final, and still doing it. So in terms of energy, in terms of like what he brings to the team, is unbelievable. And I saw this thing where a rival fan from one of these, sports social media influencers was comparing him to Vinicius, all the top wingers in the world, and his assists and goals are above, all of them. So I think he is a world-class player. He just hasn't won anything, so they can hold that over against him, including internationals. But when he does, I think they can that can jump him up. But I also think it's the type of player he is. He's a system player, so he's no Ronaldo. He's no one that stands out. And I think that is also the which is great, which I love. And I want that, But I think when we think of international players, we think of the personalities, all that sort of thing that Arteta got rid of. So I think that also is a reason why he's not considered great. But the last thing about the Arsenal, I think Arsenal do, I try to keep away from this ref conversation and us being the victims. But there is an unbelievable level of lack of respect for what we've achieved. Like the dark arts thing, just going in more general terms. It is actually quite funny to watch, and it's interesting that recently a lot of these sports, especially what's his name, the Man United guy, what's his name? Anyway, the social media. Sorry.
I said Gary Neville.
No, man, no, not Gary Neville. The social media influencer, the one that is like AFTV.
Oh, Mark Goldbridge.
Yeah, Goldbridge. He's been one of our biggest fans, really standing up for us. And that's partly because of Man City, but it's interesting to see a lot of them come round towards our cause, and a lot of people just saying, "Look, man, this is ridiculous now." Arsenal is doing great. Saka is a great player, one of the best in the world. So I think just all we can do is just keep going. Just keep playing, and Saka can just keep going, just keep playing. And one day when he wins something very soon, which he will, 100%, probably for us, even for England, then he'll be considered great. So the best thing to do is not to listen to all that stuff and just focus on ourselves and just keep going the way we are, because we're doing absolutely amazing.
Look,
You
what
know,
I will
George,
say, George,
Sorry, Rams.
I find this trophy conversation interesting because you look at a guy like Harry Kane. No one has issues calling him world class. Why? Why is the benchmark so high for Saka? You know, I feel like there's no consistency in the way we kind of classify these players. So I hope I'm just concerned that we're not applying the same principles to him. So
Yeah.
I really don't think he actually needs. I know if he does get a trophy, then great. It will kind of elevate him. But I really don't think he needs to have a trophy in order to be considered world class.
Fair enough. Agreed.
no, and look, what I will say about Saka though is I think yes, he fits the system. Georgie said he's a system player, but at the same time, Saka is actually very much an individual player. I just don't think he does it the way people expect a winger to do it. He's not flashy like Saka's guys. We forget the ability to cross the ball in as a winger, like that back post cross that Saka does, is his trademark. That's not a fluke. I can name you so many instances where Saka's done the back post cross and we've scored from. That's something that he actively does as a player. It's like Robin had the cut in and shoot. That's what Saka does. Saka, he does that, and I think because everyone will praise David Beckham for his final ball, his delivery of a ball. Saka is exactly the same. It's not obviously not David Beckham level in terms of the actual technique, but in terms of efficiency, Saka's got 7 goals in 7 games, guys, and only 2 of them are from set pieces. So he's actually, he's got the most chances created this season. The most key passes. He's like Saka is first in for everything in terms of creativity stats this season, and I think that's not down to the system, in my opinion. That's down to the play, and I think Saka is a player that I think Arteta has him put on a leash. Arteta just needs to slowly give him more of the keys to the kingdom and say, listen, you are actually that guy for Arsenal. Like you are actually like in terms of consistency, in terms of magic moments, a player that I think can make something from nothing. I think Saka is the player in our team. Yes, Trossard has the finishing ability, but I generally think in terms of moments, Saka is the guy that I look to for Arsenal to get our moments. And I agree with you, George. An injury to Saka would be interesting. It would be key to see are Arsenal able to find someone similar. But I think at some point, every team has a player that they can't replace, and I think Saka is our guy. I don't think you've got a player in the team who you can almost guarantee is as much of a goal threat as he is a creativity threat like Saka. Saka, he's equally able to score or assist. I think Odegaard, not as much. Martinelli, not as much. Trossard, Havertz, not as much. I think Saka is I want to say not most complete, but the most complete looking player that I think we have, and that's why I think the world class tag is he's been world class, man. Like this whole conversation is even boring. It's like, guys, this guy's 23. He's carried England to major tournaments. He's been England Player of the Year, like someone mentioned in the comments here. Dane mentioned, he says Saka was England Player of the Year 2 years, and it's 2 years in a row above Kane and Foden. And
Agreed.
Kane no trophies, and Foden in a very good City squad. And I think Saka, that's another thing, guys. Saka he's not from a team that has a lot of money or a team that was filled with stars. He's literally had to become world class. And I think when Saka wins, I made this prediction yesterday in the Talk Six. I said I think Saka can win the Ballon d'Or, and not necessarily this season. If Arsenal are to win a Champions League this year or a league, Saka, in my opinion, is definitely up for Ballon d'Or next year. Because I guarantee, if you look at his numbers, what do you have at the end of the season? They will definitely match or be Ballon d'Or worthy. That's just my opinion. That's the level that I think this guy is currently performing at and has the potential to perform at. Just want to
Can I
go
put
through
something
some
out there about
comments.
Saka quickly? Sorry.
Yes, sure thing.
No, just one thing. Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's world class, and hopefully he will win a Ballon d'Or. But there's one aspect of the game that we notice more when we talk about great, amazing players, and that's dribbling, taking on players. And that's something, mentioning David Beckham, he was not good at all. He never took on players. And that's why even at the time, I remember thinking, David Beckham, he's not that great because he doesn't dribble past players. And here's something I'm going to throw at you. If Ethan plays a lot of games and he comes on, because he takes on players and he cuts in, he'll be noticed more than Saka very quickly if he does that, and he continues playing the way he does. we've seen of him, because he dribbles, because he takes on players. And I think that's one aspect of Saka's game. He doesn't need to do. I don't want him to do it. But because that's the flashy, cool stuff that we see and notice as a great international player. That's what part of the game that David Beckham lacked as well, and he was criticised for, that we're not seeing, and that's part of the reason we're not calling him that. More of a system player. Sorry, Shannon.
No problem, Josh. I should obviously read out some comments here. We got another one from Sibusiso here that says Saka is being compared with lames out there who happen to be in championship winning teams. Hence, I stopped entertaining the debate. Then we've got another one from Dane. Says Saka does all he does for goals and assists and chance creation and dribbling, but also does have the defensive work. And I think that's what makes Saka such a unique player, is that he's equally willing to do the defensive work as he is to go forward. And I think it's a very good trait to have. Another one here from Sibusiso saying 7 assists and 2 of them are corners. He scored 2 goals. Exactly. That's what 9 goal contributions this season. I mean, it's in 7 games. That's world-class level. That's outperforming Salah. Saka is the best performing winger in the league, and it's not even a question. Another comment here from Dane saying, I agree, Arteta needs to let Saka express himself. I think he's slowly growing into that. I think Arteta slowly, you can see it, man, especially since Odegaard hasn't been there. I think we've seen Saka take more of a creative role on more. He's taking on players more. He's affecting the game a lot more. The ball, because the game is going through him more often than it is now Odegaard. Sibusu saying Saka is proving the narrative that he doesn't need Odegaard to tick. Wrong, and I think that's exactly that. Saka, if anything, sometimes Odegaard hinders him, because Odegaard he'll hold the ball too long, and then it attracts more players to Saka. I think Saka does best when you're giving the ball early and he can drive at the defenders. Even if it's 1 or 2, he just needs that space to come off the line and then attack. Another comment here from Dane says, Spuda said Saka can break the 20 assist record of Henry and De Bruyne. I rate Saka can get 17 to 18. I mean, look, if you can continue this form, you'll have broken this record by what? Game week 15, 16, 17-ish. If you're looking at how many, like 7, that was Henry's got 20 assists, Saka's already on 7. Another 10, 15 games like this, and Saka potentially breaks the record. I think that's what Saka needs to be aiming for. He needs to be able to, if he's not going to be flashy, then get the records. I think that's what you also can't deny. If a player has got the stats, because Kane's not a flashy player, but Kane's goal scoring ability is what really puts him up there with some of the best. Obviously, guys, I just want to bring on one of our last topics, is that I just want to talk about Arteta, and his evolution as a manager, and coming up against, it's similar to Saka. He's always compared with certain different managers, but they don't get the credit that they deserve. Is Unai Emery better than Saka? I mean, and then I say Saka, then Arteta. Was Arteta Pep's Comeboy? Is Slot better than Arteta? Is Maresca? Obviously we haven't played Chelsea, haven't played Liverpool, but every single, it's like Arteta does something. Oh, he, look at him on the touchline there. Everyone does it. Oh, Arteta's complaining, he's doing dark arts. Arsenal playing. There's just always a narrative, and I think what I've liked from Arteta is you can see it in his team. There's a maturity to Arteta. There's a maturity to Arsenal. The way he's been speaking in the press, he just seems more. It's just like we know what to expect from media and rivals now. Like I think we're comfortable in our position of being the villains in everyone's story, because that's what it looks like. No, everyone they don't want us to win, and then but even if we win, they won't give us the credit. So I think Arteta and the team have just accepted that we're just gonna try do this our way. You can call it dark arts. We'll take our point from the Etihad. Call us boring. It's fine. We'll be unbeaten this season. In all competitions. And George, I just obviously speak. You did mention earlier that you are massive Arteta fan. With the run of fixtures that we've had, how well do you think he's done to just navigate those fixtures and get us to a point where we are unbeaten in all competitions? Play PSG in the Champions League, played Atalanta, you've played City, you've played Spurs, you played Villa, all away from home. Just how impressive you've been with the Arsenal manager so far this season?
I'll tell you, I mean, I don't know, I run out of superlatives, man. The one thing that I've been pleasantly surprised is with the Champions League. I think it means that it's just watching the first half in PSG, just watching his passion for it. And what I love about Arteta that we didn't have, say, under Wenger, was his ability to adapt and to evolve and to learn. He learns from what he perceives to be his own mistakes, and he brings something else, next year. So he's almost like a different manager in the Champions League now than he was even last season. So I trust him 100%. I always have. And when we talk about worry about this, it doesn't matter. For me, we've got the right manager. And even comparing managers is ridiculous because Arteta is right for Arsenal right now. I don't know what he'd do at Liverpool. I don't know what he'd do because he knows Arsenal. And he's got Edu behind him. He's got Josh Kroenke. He's got an amazing setup. All these things, all these dimensions have come together to form this amazing trio of partnerships, and it's just been great to watch. And so I don't know how many more things I can say. And as for dark arts, that was because we were 10 men down at the Man City. Sorry to state the obvious. It's just getting tiring. So I think my point is I don't care what everyone else says. I don't listen to what anyone else says. I know what I see and I know what I've got. I've got an evolving manager who's getting better and better, who chops and changes, sees a problem and will identify it and fix it. So there's nothing more to say or do, really. We've got one of the best teams Arsenal have had in decades. And I would compare this. I wouldn't say 2004. I wouldn't say that the unbeatables and stuff. But I certainly think it's up there for what we're achieving. We just need to win something, and we're up against it. We're up against one of the Man City, whatever, who won it 6 and 7, whatever. So I think Arteta's been amazing. I think especially in the Champions League. Look forward to what he's doing, and I'm even excited about the Carabao Cup actually for the first time. Haven't won it since '92, and I think we've actually got a chance. Because our second team, our backup team, our depth of squad is so good that we can actually push for that in that trophy as well. So, what more to say? Love him, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens.
George, if we win the league, they need to put this on the part of the celebration video for someone that's just that was like a rally call for Arteta. That was like I feel motivated to get behind this manager after that. That was.
The checks in the post from Arsenal apparently.
But listen, I have to echo your thoughts. Is that you're looking at, and like you're saying, you trust the manager, and it's a trust that you can literally trust the decisions from board level. You trust the club. I trust Arsenal to do what's right now. As you look, and it's I think with us, it's the hindsight, and also sometimes the bit of the PTSD. We were quick to judge the window, saying that we may get the striker that we got or wanted, everyone wanted, but guys, we're scoring goals. It almost looks like, example, Leicester and Southampton. We needed them to score for us to be able to want to score more. Immediately when we went down against Southampton, we scored 2 quick goals. Yes, we maybe then sat back a bit, but I think it's also Arteta telling the team that. And I like I said, the main thing that I'm loving from Arteta this season, guys, is just the maturity, man. It's just that he doesn't seem phased. When Haaland said, stay humble, he just looked at him, and then you have Jesus that's there backing up his manager, bro, no. This is not who we are. We no longer pushovers against PSG. We showed PSG that we are levels above them at the moment. They've got some good players, but you can see we're a mature team, guys. They've played together for years. Where we are now, we are trophies away from being a dominant side. Genuinely, I think Arsenal can win multiple major honors over the next couple of years because our squad age is good. Our talent ID is good. We've got a fan base, a manager, a board. Everything is connected. So I almost feel like it's us against everyone. And I think it's played perfectly into Arteta's hands, this kind of siege mentality where the refs are giving only decisions against us. Rival managers and players are getting rattled. Media are calling us, defensive, negative. I think all of this is just fuel to the fire. It's confirming what we already know as Arsenal fans, that we are a quality team, and it just pains you to say we're no longer the guys that you were bullying for top 4. We are guys, we are so close from, I think, era defining for Arteta. Arteta is the potential, in my opinion, to win multiple honors as long as, for example, the club continue to back him, give him the funds to get the players. He continues to develop himself, has the hunger. I'm calling it this season, guys. Champions League or the league, one of those two. And if we don't win the Champions League, I'm almost certainly calling a cup double. I mean, a league and cup double. I think we can, George, I'm with you. Something about the Carabao Cup looks like Arteta has woken up to it. Where he's like, you know what, I just need to get my boys winning something. Because if you win a trophy in February, guys, I think that just sends the hunger levels up. And I think for this Arsenal team, a trophy, I don't want the Carabao Cup. If you ask me, it's never been important to me. But in terms of being a springboard, maybe for this season, if you win it in February, I think it just pushes this team up. Rams, I'm sorry for rambling, but let me bring it to you. Just obviously, you've heard George and I give, glowing reviews of Arteta. So I'm hoping that you can come with some level-headedness and say, guys, relax.
That'll be crazy. Look, Shannon, I think we're all in the same movie. We're all very happy with Arteta and everything that he's done for us. All you have to do is look 10 years ago and see where we are, where we were, and just have a reflective view on where we are now. I think the change has been immense. We even got a club anthem now, something that we've never had before. So I think the work that Arteta's done has kind of transcended pure football. He's changed everything from the top to bottom, and that just talks to his genius. And I keep saying genius because I think he's an astute manager, and a manager who's shown us what he can do on the pitch and off the pitch. So I'm in your same movie, guys. I think we've got a real good manager on our hands, and he's got the capability to propel us to trophies, Champions Leagues, league titles. And again, I'll echo what you said, Shannon. I think once we get into the flow of things, we've seen over the years that Arteta kind of springboards on every kind of point of adversity that he kind of gets to. And I think it's amazing that he's been able to kind of move in strides since he's kind of joined the club. And I'm confident that we'll get to a point where we start winning trophies. And once we do, it'll be a consistent theme going forward as well. So I'm excited, and I know the future's bright. It's part of the reason why I'm not too, I'm anxious to win the trophies, but I do know it's coming.
No, 100%. And Rams, just to obviously speak about trophies, guys. I just want to ask just before we end the today's show, your expectations for the rest of the season. From what you've seen so far, what do you think this Arsenal team can achieve? And obviously, guys, it's 7 games in. We probably will review this by Christmas, and we will maybe think completely different or echo what we say. And then, come the end of May, might sit here in tears. We might sit here, and there might be tears of joy, tears of happiness. Who knows? But George, just your expectation for the rest of the season. You mentioned Carabao Cup there. You mentioned, Arteta also. I think in a couple of streams, you said he needs to smarten up in Europe, and do you think that the main focus should just be the league, or do you think what? Let's just spread our eggs in different baskets.
Well, having said about the Carabao Cup, I've always been a big believer that we're a UCL, Champions League, and Prem team. We haven't got the depth to go for all four. Basically, and the one I really don't care about is the FA Cup, because it gives us too many games in December. If you remember 2 seasons ago when we fell away after losing to Liverpool, so I don't care. I really don't care about the FA Cup, and I hope it's we don't have the depth of squad. But yeah, I mean Carabao, because the way the games are spread out, I can see something happening there, and it'll be great to win it for the first time since '92. And Shannon, as you said, winning a trophy could open the floodgates. In terms of what I expect in the rest of the season, it depends on other teams as well. It's really hard to say. I think we've got what it takes. I think we've even got what it takes in the Champions League. I don't think we're quite there yet. It'll be interesting to see what happens against Inter away. I think in early November. I think that will be a big test and give us an idea of where we're at in Europe. But I see a different focus. I see a different side. I see a side with depth, a side willing to play a chess game, as many European teams do. Take it slowly, be patient, have possession. So I'm even excited about Champions League, and as anyone knows, for me, Champions League is everything. I've seen 5 league wins in my lifetime. I've never seen a Champions League, and every year as the 90th minute or 90 whatever minute goes and we lose, we get knocked out again. When we're in it, what I say as a mantra is, I'm going to die and never will see us win the Champions League. So I'm excited that we might actually win the Champions League this year, or have a go at it rather. So I think Prem League, Champions League, maybe Carabao Cup. Leave the FA Cup. That's what I think.
George is saying treble, guys. George is saying treble. You heard it here, breaking.
I did not say that. I said one of them.
No, 100%, George. And I'm just pulling your leg. And Rams, obviously, George is basically saying that the expectation for this season is a trophy. And I think all Arsenal fans can agree that this team is good enough. There's no reason why we can't win one trophy. And Rams, I should find out from you, bro. Are you echoing those sentiments? Or do you think, Arsenal, try go for the 2 big ones, or let's just focus on the league. The league has been what we've kind of been building this project towards to this point. I think Champions League, it's also a luck of the draw, but more experience. But the league, I think we are primed to win the league. So do you think, Rams, all the eggs in the league basket. Yes, you obviously want to perform well in the cup, but ultimately, if you can win that league title this season, it's ultimately what will appease Arsenal fans.
Yeah, I think the priority for me is the league. I think if we can push as much as we can to get that, it's been the accolade that's been closest. We've been closest to getting, and have just fallen short. So for me, I think my priority is just slightly towards the league. It would be great to win the Champions League as well because it's a trophy we've never won. And I think you know that most rival fans are always kind of on our backs about us not winning the Champions League. And I think if we do get that over the line, it's great. But I do also believe, like I said earlier, I think we are primed to winning most of these competitions. And I think if we can just get this first part out of the way, get the league down, and I also think it's the most realistic competition that we're likely to kind of win, given the events of the past year. And if you look, actually, the past couple of years, if you look at the trajectory, we've always just kind of continuously moved in a linear progression. We've been improving every single season and getting more and more points. I think the last season we capped off
Mm.
at 92, if I'm not mistaken, or 80, oh, 88. And I think we might just breach that 90 spot and get to kind of win the title. And then I also believe that once we do get that over the line, next year we can then kind of refocus and obviously still continue to kind of try and maintain the league title, but then put more emphasis in winning the Champions League. I believe we'll probably finish in the semi-finals or quarters this season. But yeah, I'm hopeful for whatever we can get. I think once we get a trophy over the line, it will enable us to kind of push forward in the future.
100%, and I have to agree. Like I say, guys, I think whatever trophy we win this season, I think it's important. George, I have to echo your thoughts. Like the FA Cup, like I'm good. Like I've the FA Cup, like I'm genuinely good. If you don't win the FA Cup, I'm not pissed. Like genuinely, like I think, like you said, the Carabao Cup, it would be nice to win. And I said I'm gonna get grilled for this because I said it's such a stupid trophy because it's just that, guys, I don't know how to explain it to you. Like somehow this season, I somehow am just in, maybe because Arsenal, we playing some youngsters that I'm excited to see. So I'm like, I can't wait to see the youngsters play. So maybe that's why I'm excited for that cup. I don't think Arteta does the same thing in the FA Cup, and that's kind of my concern. So the only reason I want the Carabao Cup, guys, is because I want to see some of our youngsters platform, but I also see how it can give us a springboard for the season. So for me, my heart my heart is saying the league title, guys. Like the league title would mean a lot. I think it would just it's 38 games. You have to be good. It's been two back-to-back seasons where we've come so close. Like Champions League, 2006 was long ago. Like I was still young. I don't think many Arsenal fans even still hold that pain because we haven't made another final. But this league title would mean so much because you like of how close we've come the past two seasons. And like please, Arsenal, if you guys are watching this, please just bring it home for us. I think that's what every fan wants this season. I think it's just to, when you win the league title, no one can speak to you guys. Like Champions League, yeah, it's good, but when you win the league, there's a certain confidence. That's why United could walk with the confidence in their fans because they were the best team in the league. They were the best consistently, and I think that's what I want Arsenal to be. I want Arsenal to be the best team, and everyone needs to know, like, okay, nah, these guys are the ones. So let me just get to some comments here before we end. We've got another one from Sibu Sisu here saying the trick about the Carabao will be in January with the home and away semi-final legs. We also have FA Cup and two Champions League games. And look, in my opinion, Arsenal should be qualified by game week 6 in the Champions League. That's what I want. I think that's realistic. I think by game week 6, be qualified. Even if you're fourth, you don't have to be first. It's fine. Just make sure you get that automatic qualification. That's my biggest thing. And then in the Carabao Cup, I think you can play a semi strong squad. I mean, for example, if you have, let's say you have Rice and Mandrino and Waneri in your midfield. That's a good midfield, for semi final in my opinion. Obviously, depending on the opposition. Um, let's see what we got. Another comment here from Dane saying, hoping we can get 92 points this season. Guys, I'm just hoping that we can win the league. So if whatever that points tally is to win the league, I hope we get it. Um, Another comment here from Sibu Sisu saying that the league title is the holy grail. Just I think he's echoing some of my thoughts there of like the importance that it would have for Arsenal fans. And then Dane saying crazy that Wenger never won the League Cup. And I think, yeah, if Wenger never won the League Cup, then let's hope one of his predecessors or his heirs in Arteta can. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight. We've gone a bit over time. Gents, thank you so much for just sticking it out with me and my bad connection. Guys, I do apologize for some of the bad connection you've heard tonight. We will definitely look to improve that. Um, Rams, George, I will speak to you guys in the near future. Just a note to everybody, I will be going live only again next week, Thursday. I'm going to take a bit of a break. Obviously, there's no football and there's not really much to discuss. I think we've discussed everything in this video. So please, if you're looking for content to keep you going for the international break, do check out some of the content that we've done so far on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button. Leave your comments to get in touch. So, guys, for myself, Shannon, and my lovely panel of George and Rams, as always, Gooners, remember, it's good to be a Gooner. Oh, thanks, gents.